All right, guys, coming at you here. Blitz World Series action. Pro Division. Is that a little loud? I feel like the flame's a little loud. I need to fix the flame sound, I think. So we got Marsh, Mystic Marsh, the newest pro, winning out of Division 1 last month, coming into the pro scene, shaking things up for us here. He's in red, fighting out of the U.S. on the right. Got Snark in yellow, fighting out of Israel on the left. He went pro a couple months ago. You guys all know and love Snark. Everyone likes Snark. He obviously makes the challenge maps for us, commentates. He's a pro player. Snark does it all, man. Snark's the utility around here. So Snark versus Marsh, both, fairly similar division. They're kind of in the lower ranking pro division. So it should be a pretty good game here. Snark coming off a loss yesterday versus Zed, but Snark did almost beat Latov in what was quite possibly the most entertaining game I've seen in a very, very long time. So let's see if Snark can keep the action rolling here. Blaming his girlfriend for the loss against Zed. I think he was a little distracted the other day, but we'll see. We'll see here. So both players, we are going to see this early action down here on the center. This is the hot spot on this map. You don't have that early sentry gun support, so it comes down to your rhinos, your dogs, your decision making. It's also kind of interesting with the elevation on the little hills. You can kind of get up on the hills, get a first shot in. If you dive on a building, you try to bait the building. As soon as he attacks the building, you come in. Honestly, playing quick match, guys, I've gotten so much better at this game because of this area on this map. It's really made me focus on those early engagements when you only got 5 or 6 rhinos. Of course, these guys are pros, so already they have way more rhinos than I'm used to having at this point in the game. But hey, that's why I'm like a Division 5 player. So both players now double War Factories, almost identical builds. Third War Factory now for Marsh. See if he has the economy to support that. And the fodder's so big here early on. And Marsh does, and Snark, yep, Snark sleeping out the wheel there, loses his power plant. Now Snark a little bit reckless here. Really, really rough pathing there from Snark, but it will come down to who can click the tanks better. Yeah, playing this game really made me realize that. I used to always think, oh, he's ahead here, he has more tanks. It just comes down to who clicks the tanks better. Tank control is, especially in these numbers, at some level when you have like 1 million tanks versus 1 million tanks, I don't know, it's just kind of anarchy. There's still obviously a massive amount of decision making and tank control, but at these numbers, it's just, yeah, you can be down 5, 6 rhinos and click your way out of it if you have some fodder. Who's Snark? Already said he's got some stuff going on right now. So I've been messaging him a little bit, but yeah, he just hasn't really been around lately. Yeah, I don't know. He said he's got some stuff going on. So now the conscript's coming for Snark. I'll tell you guys what, if you guys see me play quick match, I'm a conscript fan. Oh my God, so many conscripts just got hit by lightning. That's hilarious. I'm a conscript fan. They're like dogs with guns. I'm a huge conscript fan. The fact that no other pros use them makes me think that they're not a great idea, but hey, Snark's making it happen. Snark's a ninja, for God's sake. So Marsh definitely in the driver's seat right now. Ahead on rhinos pretty significantly, and he's managing that fodder very, very nice. Ooh, he's shooting a lot of that fodder, but did a great job running over that. And they both. So Marsh got ahead on War Factories there, and yeah, made him pay the price. Marsh, man, like Marsh kicked down the door of Blitz and just came storming down. I love it. I mean, he just like literally came back to the game last month. Obviously, he's played at a top level a long time ago, but I believe he's been out of the game for quite some time now. So it's been fun this last month and a half or so, seeing him get into the scene, and now here he is at the pro level, beating up the best of them. So switching over to Allied versus Allied now. First point on the board for Marsh. Oh, did that lightning take some of Snark's tanks? Oh, I didn't see that. The lightning's pretty devastating. You guys gotta be careful. When the lightning comes, you gotta run. Quick reminder, you guys, you're thinking, hey, I've been on the couch, I've been watching Blitz, it's time to get involved. I completely agree. I completely agree with you. You guys should come play. Quick match, queue up 24/7. You get in a queue, there's other players in the queue, it matches you up 1v1, you play games, it's fun. We got cash prizes for quick match at the end of the month, but it's also just fun. It's a good way to get games, it's a good way to practice. Right now it's a little scary, there's a lot of really good players that play quick match, but hey, trial by fire. Pressure makes diamonds. Get in there, get your ass kicked. It'll make you a better player. At least that's what I'm telling myself, because I'm getting beat up quite a bit. But the more new players we get in there, the system will match you up with new players. So definitely recommend it. Come play some quick match. You can get the game downloaded for 20 bucks, get set up, play online in about 10 minutes. 10 minutes, 20 bucks. Having the time of your life. RedAlert2.com, I got a video that explains. I got the steps, I got the links. I got everything, man. RedAlert2.com, that's the place to be. All right, so Marsh takes the power plant, and so Snark's going to go down the middle here. And this, I think, we will start seeing more at the top level. If you say, when you say, hey, I'm going to get the power plant, they say, okay, who's going to defend your base? And so I like this idea from Snark. I don't think he had enough GIs to pull this off. So now Marsh very comfortable pulling back. Marsh can hold this off with just his Grizzlies. So had Snark brought enough GIs to give him an edge against these Grizzlies, that's potentially a game-winning move for Snark there. I think if Snark had another 10 GIs there, that actually could have possibly been GG. And Marsh might have been able to pillbox his way out of it. All right, so now more GI's gonna come from Snark here, and so Marsh, yeah, so Marsh, I'd love to see Marsh sneak one. I've been in this position before. You want to keep all your tanks. Oh, the sniper out to counter the GIs. Man, Marsh, yeah, Mystic Marsh, yeah, he's Mystic Marsh is a problem solver. You know, he has a deep understanding of the game, and you can really see that. You know, some of his losses, you see him just a little rusty in some ways last month. You kind of tell like he hadn't got the reps in recently that some of these guys had, but yeah, it's fun to see. He knows, he has a very deep understanding of the game, like I said, and you're seeing how quickly he comes up with his counters. Oh, he almost, man, he would have only, man, are those IFVs? Those IFVs didn't kill a single eagle there. Loses the battle lab. That's annoying for Marsh. Obviously, that early tech push was important to his strategy here. He wanted those mirages. You see Marsh not even going to build eagles here. He knows he's behind. If he builds eagles, they're just going to get destroyed. And now, so now Snark gets ahead. So I'd love to see Marsh come down here just with one tank, destroy this wall, and take that power plant. Pretty low-hanging fruit. AFC goes down, but does get the battle lab out. And so that time he makes Snark pay a little bit. Snark loses 3 eagles there. Snark on 10K though, so pretty comfortable here. Snark out tanking? It's about even, I think. Crates are out, and Marsh is in position to get them all. Marsh might get all 4 here. So now Marsh has some money crates. He's got some speed Grizzlies. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Speed Grizzlies are nice. Yeah, I would love to see Marsh just send one. I've been in the same position. Oh, and finally, and now the Eagles are getting kicked in the teeth a little bit here. The elite IFV is going to go on a quest, probably go take that. I'd love to see him go harass the tech with this. Prism tank's out though for Snark now, so these Prism tanks are going to start going to work. It's a bit problematic. Marsh is behind on the tech tanks, going Mirages now. Marsh is going to pump. Oh, Marsh on 18K. Marsh goes double barracks. I love this. I love Rockies countering Prism tanks. I think it's a great maneuver at the top level if you have the dexterity and the unit control to pull it off. We've just seen the Rockies counter Prism so many times before. I would love to see Marsh destroy this wall and then destroy that power plant. It's kind of driving me crazy. Putting up an opponent low power in this position can make a big difference. Slows down production, annoys them. I like it. But hey, like I've said before, there's always 1,000 things to be doing, and when you're up in the booth, it's always a lot easier to pick and choose random ones. I think there are a lot more pressing matters right now for Marsh, so I understand his delay. So, yeah, Snark usually goes pretty heavy Rockies as well. Snark's a big fan of the heavy Rockies. He's going to dive with his Rockies on his power plant. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. Needs to be careful here. Now the elite, oh, he brings in his IFVs. IFV Rocky battle bottom side. Now the Prism tanks and Snark, Marsh is pretty heavily out tanked here, and now the aircraft carrier coming in, gonna go for that machine chop. Might as well take what he can get. These Prism tanks are scary. These Prism tanks are really scary. Marsh gonna try to get him from the side. Marsh just kind of needs to, I don't know, dive the Rockies on those Prisms maybe. I'm not sure. Marsh is behind, and this aircraft carrier is kind of putting him in a pressure cooker, although Marsh has quite a few Patriot missiles, so Marsh is in a pretty good air defense position, I guess, but Marsh on 20K, so Marsh not spending his money is a big issue here. Snark with an extra war factory. Oh, Snark sleeping at the wheel, gonna let a couple of his aircraft carriers get destroyed there. Not a lot of anti-air in that group, though. Ooh, that could be Marsh, Marsh losing most of his army here. And Marsh isn't gapped up, so Snark should have a pretty good beat on this situation and realize how far ahead he is and start trying to take bites here. There's no reason at the top level to not make an opponent pay when they're down this much. And I like Marsh kind of feigning these attacks. I like Marsh playing like he's ahead when he is not. That's an important move. Appear strong when you are weak and weak when you are strong. All right, so Snark should be able to close this one out. Snark dead broke, though. And that's the story of the economies there. Marsh, 25K. You can't take it with you, boys. Snark just spending his money better there. Yeah, making him pay. Good second game, though. Wait, did someone have the weather machine? I missed it. Oh, somebody get the weather machine. I was like, did someone really? No, the weather storm can't be weather control can't be destroyed. It's indestructible. All right, so third point here, switching factions now. Marsh does get to choose his faction. He's going to choose Allied. Marsh is traditionally an Allied player, and so I think obviously he wanted that. He wanted that. So it's kind of interesting to see him win the Soviet, lose the Allied battle, because Marsh much more comfortable as an Allied player. So Marsh is going to stay Allied here. Allied versus Allied now. That's some pretty good ones on this map. I do some pretty good ones on this map, Allied versus Allied. This kind of center battleground plays pretty well. It's kind of a feature we haven't come. It's hard. I'm like every month trying to think of a unique feature, but it's always hard to know how things are going to play. I was worried about this being too small, but the entrance on either side has been nice. We haven't really had it become like a choke point. So yeah, they actually getting these big battles in the middle worked out pretty well. So Marsh gonna go down to this power plant, and I think we're gonna see Snark go down the gut here. All right, so that's what Marsh wants. You hit down the wall, leave the GIs, go back to defend. Conscripts and Rhinos coming now, and so Marsh doesn't have any GIs to defend. Marsh is gonna need some pillboxes, maybe some dogs, and possibly a bit of luck here. This is going to be tricky. Really good unit control is going to be important running over these conscripts. And Snark's just selling the farm right now. Snark is going full commit right now to the conscript rush. Conscripts and Rhinos. Marsh trying to duck behind these pillboxes. Marsh just scrambling a little bit. He needs to be building dogs. He needs to be building pillboxes. Oh, the conscripts got a position, but the Rhinos are so strong. You see Snark just keeping his Rhinos back until he needs them here. And Marsh building an AFC. And Snark getting an immense amount of value here. I don't think Marsh is gonna be able to find a way out of this one. And yeah, I like that. I like that move. I like that move. This is what I kind of expect to see with players if you kind of bring that overcommit on the bottom. Now Marsh running with his MCV. Yeah, it's interesting. Whether or not Snark saw that or just anticipated that. Snark just fully committed it, sending it straight down the pipes. And it's fun to see those. It's fun to see, games like that because Psychic Snark. Yeah, so we and that was Marsh's preferred faction. So now Marsh going over to Soviet. So I think Ed is one of these players. Like that's why we call Ed the wild card. Ed, every game you don't know what he's gonna do. A lot of games, Ed. Wake your ass up because it's time to go beast mode. Snark going beast mode. Yeah, I mean you see, so Ed does this. Like Ed's one of those players where. You flip a coin. Maybe he's going to GI rush you. Maybe he's going to conscript rush you. Maybe he's not. And I think to establish yourself as the kind of player where that is feared or, where you're a bit unexpected can be really nice because it throws off your opponent. Obviously not letting your opponent know how you're going to open, what you're going to do. And if you're lucky, players like Luke, when Luke was GI rushing so much, sometimes he would just kind of like feint the GI rush and he was getting players to go early Desolator, right? And go broke. So, there's a lot of tactics to being unpredictable, certainly here. And so now Snark is going to go down to the bottom. And I think this power plant, the Desolator's coming. Ooh, Marsh is going to save this power plant. Yeah, Marsh is going to save that power plant. And he goes double deso. Double deso is a little bit questionable here. Obviously, the big problem with the early radar, the early deso, is that it is expensive. It is very, very expensive. You need to be careful with it. But the allied player now, so Snark's going to go AFC and going to go sniper to counter. But that's going to, kick his economy a little bit. Although the early AFC is generally part of the you know, the game theory optimal opening for Allied at the top level generally, so it doesn't really throw Snark off as much versus that super early radar, super early desolators, which is not really what the Soviet player wants to be doing generally. But in this case, it worked well. He saved his power plant. Flak goes down, saves the second. Okay, nice. Yeah, keys to victory for the Soviet player here. You got to make those pay with those eagles. But we've talked about, guys, I mean, on this map, I mean, everyone has just been saying how strong Soviet is. So we'll see if Snark can pull one out here with Allied. Is 2-1, obviously best of 5. Marsh fighting to stay alive here. If he puts one on the board, we're coming down. It's going to be a barn burner, boys. We're coming down to game number 5. All right, so haven't seen much of the weather storm yet. You never know. Weather control device. It's a weather control device that creates weather storms. And now BF's out for Snark. Very early tech here. Let's see. Tired, guys. Tired. All right. But not for lack of entertainment here. We've actually had a pretty good game so far. So Marsh brings out the flak tracks. Now Marsh does have a Deso Bomb geared up here. You don't really... Deso Bombs aren't super common against BFs and Grizzlies, but hey, it looks like it might work here. That BF is... Oh, the BF is crushing the Rhinos. The BF, and now the Rhinos uncontested here. Yeah, I'm gonna take the MCV, and that's why I think it's so funny. Like when you're looking at it, you're like, yeah, I think Snark's in a pretty good position here. You're like, what would Marsh have to do to win? He'd have to push the Rhino smash button, just storm recklessly down the field with his Rhinos. Now, to be fair to Marsh's credit there, that actually was a pretty good Deso Bomb. Oh my God, what a barn burner, boys. Zap, I want to know, was your finger just hovering over that button? Like, were you just hovering over that button waiting for it? You got it just in time. Good Zap, good redemption. Quick. Yeah, one of Snark's downfalls is the fact that he loves BFs, which obviously at the top level are almost never used. All right, yeah, so nice Deso Bomb. That was a good setup. Linus, play Silver Scrapes? What's Silver Scrapes? All right, guys, that's game number 5. You know what that means. The barn is officially burning here. Match point, winner of this going home. The champion of the day. And obviously, you hate to lose, you know. So these prelim games for the pros, running these all month to see who the top 4 are to go into the finals. But also we do $10 to the winner of all these games as well. So they're like prelim games, but there's $10 on the line. But the biggest thing is, it's all about ego, right? It's all about ego, you know. You in these games, these players, if you're a top level player in any game, any sport, you got to be competitive, got to have a little ego involved, and you got to hate losing. It all starts with that. So Snark again with a pretty heavy conscript opening. That's actually how I play this map, but it kind of scares me because generally what I'm doing is not a good idea. So Snark is going to bring conscripts down to the bottom side, and Snark's going to get this power plant. I'm not really sure how Marsh plans to counter that. Unless he gets his own fodder pumping here pretty quick. Oh, dogs. Oh, these dogs doing work so far. Snark without great unit control. The dogs, ooh, and great. Wow, good counter there from Marsh. Those dogs got way too much value. Yeah, but Marsh, you don't want to lose his power plant. Ooh, not repairing the power plant. He's late on the repair. The conscripts are still shooting it. Oh, but Marsh forced... Oh, Marsh... And wow, and Marsh needs to call in his next. Marsh has a drone AFK. Marsh has the dogs, and the power plant goes down. Marsh just a little slow on the click there. Yeah, Marsh didn't commit as much to his fodder. He brought dogs instead of conscripts. Snark got a little bit of value out of the fodder there. And Marsh was doing a better, or Snark was doing a better job of getting his tanks gathered down there. Marsh had a couple tanks AFK. Marsh also went drone early. So if you go drone early, you got to get the drone in a Rhino. Statistically speaking, in a vacuum, perfect game, perfect mirror. If you go drone first and you destroy the enemy's Rhino, you will be slightly ahead. Every time a drone takes one Rhino, drones are cheaper, build faster. But if you build a drone and then you go AFK on the drone, in that position we saw that tank advantage for Snark was huge. Also the fodder advantage, even with some very good unit control from Marsh, not enough to pull ahead there. Power plant goes down. Power plant goes down, but the show goes on. The show goes on. Yeah, I'm so fascinated right now. You know, now that I'm playing this game, I'm like, I've just gotten such an immense appreciation of these early engagements. You know, when it's, like I said, the big battles is kind of crazy, but these early engagements, right? 10 tanks versus 7 tanks, 10 tanks versus 8 tanks. The use of fodder, the use of microing your fodder, microing your tanks, clicking the tanks, where to go, where to attack. It's just really giving me a deep appreciation for this game. It's so funny when players say like, "Oh, it's just rhinos and dogs, it's boring." I'm like, I've always enjoyed watching it, obviously, but man, now that I've started playing, I just yeah, I'm just fascinated by watching what these top level players do. I mean, I've heard Marco talk before about, like, Marco's tank control. He talks about like having his tanks sitting so that the turrets are facing his opponent, you know, so that the turrets don't have to swivel. You know, there's just like so many deep levels, you know, to really get to the top level and beat people consistently. All right. So a lot of the fodder for both players getting thinned out there as Snark switches over to a radar now. So Desolators in the game. 4 War Factories to 3. Marsh with a War Factory lead. Marsh going to bring a little split here. And look how quickly Snark matched that. Very, very nice. Marsh pulls off that split. Snark might... Yeah, now Snark... Well, now Snark's counter split now has become his own split. And Marsh pulling all of his tanks to defend topside. Ooh, but Snark needs to bait. So the idea of a split, you don't want to just have one group attack and one group stay home. Snark could have kind of baited that bottom side a little bit and thrown Marsh off, possibly. Big part, trying to force your opponent to make a mistake. This battle lab placement from Snark is very, very questionable, but you can't blame him. Sometimes you start, in a quick position like that, you just start throwing down buildings. Marsh needs to be careful here. The Desolators do go down. Marsh tries to dive on the oil to get a chain reaction. Marsh does have his machine shop, so now Marsh wants to delay his next attack. This machine shop is going to residually repair these tanks. So Marsh wants to just chill for a second. You see his tanks getting stronger. Not really. And Marsh decides to push anyway. And Marsh is hungry right now, guys. Marsh is very, very hungry. Remember, guys, this is game number 5. So Marsh now switching over to drones. So Marsh now on drones. Oh, and Snark's getting devoured by drones right now. Snark has a drone in that group that he's not handling. And so the drones come in to clean up the Desolators. Marsh now going to use his tank lead without the Desolators to slow things down. Oh, beautiful decision making from Marsh to grab that oil, grab a War Factory with it. Snark now on the run. The Desolators are out, and Snark just needs to go... Oh, it's so close. The Desolators. Snark does hold that position. What does Marsh have on the back end here? A little surprising to not see that battle lab go down. A lot of times you kind of forget, you're like, the reason the battle lab is such a juicy target is because the battle lab gives the player their force shield. So if you take the battle lab, they lose their ability for a force shield. So normally when you go into an opponent's base, you want to grab the battle lab so that you can try to hit their MCV. But Marsh did get some good value there. Marsh still building drones, but the Iron Curtains come. Oh, the Iron Curtain's ready. Ooh, and so Snark, yeah, so Snark. So now the Iron Curtain's out. Snark had to blow that just a second early, but this... and Snark chasing down the army, now grabs the battle lab. So now Marsh, okay, now he's oh, the elite tank, that elite tank doing work. The elite goes down. Kurov's out now for Snark. Kurov's and a lot of drones, and what an absolute tug of war. These guys just fighting back and forth for every inch of the battlefield right now. And the lightning just hit one of those flak tracks. Flak tracks are being scrambled for this Kurov, and Snark sends in the Desolators. Snark sends in the Desolators. The Desolators go down. The flak tracks are going to go down. This Kurov, the Kurov's AFK. The flak tracks are on radiation. Marsh doesn't have any more flak tracks. He doesn't have any more anti-air. Oh, he gets that Kurov. Snark, wow, that was almost a game-ending Kurov there. Without more flak tracks, those flak tracks almost went down. I loved that from Snark. Supporting your Kurovs is so big. It's a low division move to just kind of send the Kurov downfield and cross your fingers. You want to try to have a plan. Send in Desolators, send in drones behind it. But there's another Iron Curtain coming, you guys. There's another Iron Curtain. Marsh, Marsh, he's using these drones to try to bait an early Iron Curtain. So the Iron Curtain evicts the drones. So you get the drones in, then your opponent says, okay, screw it, I'll just use my Iron Curtain. And then he uses it a little bit early. That's the idea, at least. So Snark now needs to gather his tanks, Iron Curtain out. Marsh does pick up quite a few non-Iron Curtain tanks there, though. That was decent. So now again, Snark going to go for Marsh's army. Let's see if Snark can get some offensive value out of this. And Snark and Marsh, can Marsh hold this position? And again, Marsh holds off another Iron Curtain, you guys. Marsh on 2 radars, but no battle lab. And so once you're, you know, drones are kind of like a drug, man. Once you're hooked on drones, it's hard to get off. It's hard to get off because it just never feels like the time to switch back to rhinos. Because you're constantly like, oh, drones will help me get ahead, drones will help me get ahead. And they can help you, but they can't win a game for you. So in this position, I like it from Marsh. I think he kind of needs to be on the drone drug, but it is tricky. So Marsh now going to get some value. Oh, and love that oil. Look at that oil, guys. He's going to take a War Factory and an Iron Curtain. Now he's going to pull out. So that was exactly what Marsh needed if he wanted to try to claw his way back into this game. But Marsh just behind on tech. What's the economy story here? As usual, Marsh has way too much money. Now these conscripts, the Desolators, getting way too much value. So again, Marsh holds off another attack. And at this point, I think both players just wave the white flag and go home, take a nap, eat a sandwich, and come back, resume this game tomorrow, because this one is this is exhausting. This is absolutely exhausting. I'm worn out. I'm worn out. Paf, my guy. Paf, my guy. Thanks for the raid, buddy. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. You guys think Marsh? What are you guys calling right now? You guys calling Marsh for a comeback? I want to hear this. Are you guys really calling Marsh for a comeback right now? I don't think so. I think he's just behind because Snark has so many. Oh, the flak tracks again on radiation. Love that from Snark. Okay, now the drone's out. The drones, the drones, the drones. Marsh has so much money, but he's just not able to get his tech up. Where is the... And Marsh is just committed now. Marsh on... What is Marsh on now? 7 War Factories now. So now the Iron Curtain is out, and here comes the Dreadnoughts, guys. Here comes the Dreadnoughts. Oh, the flak tracks. Oh, for the love of God, Marsh, save the flak tracks. And I love Snark tearing a page out of Laptop's book here, just getting so much value and committing so heavily to these Desolators, which is a great move. Which is a great move here. The Desolators are a very powerful weapon in the Soviet arsenal. Obviously, you see all top-level players using them, but to commit so heavily to them, to be using them in kind of different ways is always fun to see. I'd love to see that Battle Lab go down, just because Battle Labs take like 2 shots, and it's like right there. I feel like Snark's messing with us. But Marsh has more important things to do. He's clicking down these tanks. He's trying to finally pull ahead here. The drones are coming. I'd love to see Marsh retreat these tanks, let the drones clean up the rest of... All right, so now Marsh is going to work. He gets the elite. He has a vet in that group. And now it's Snark's turn to bust out the drones. Oh my God. Could Marsh pull out a comeback here? Could Marsh pull out a comeback here? The drones are out for Snark. Now Snark's on his heels. The Desolators aren't coming. I think Snark's about ready to quit this one out. That could be all she wrote. Every single one of Marsh's tanks is droned, if anyone's keeping track. Now Marsh switching over to Rhinos, trying to get a punch behind this. Snark out with a Dreadnought, but not getting too much done. There's a lot of flak tracks to counter here, and Snark's out with his own drones, and the show goes on. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so now finally Marsh able to get his feet underneath him, gets the Battle Lab out, and can kind of get some tech going here. And Snark, oh my God! Snark is down in MCV. He has no Battle Lab. So Marsh can afford to slow things down here. Marsh just obviously doesn't want to blunder this position. Now that the MCV's down, now we move into a true kind of end game position here. Every single building that Snark has left, he needs. And obviously, there's a couple juicers on the field right now that Marsh wants to take. But first, he's going to have to hold off this punch. There's a lot of Rhinos coming here. So Marsh needs to hold this position. The Rhinos are coming. He takes the Battle Lab. So now there's no force shield. If he can try to sneak through, it's just not going to work. Marsh pumping those drones so nicely here. Desolators now from both players. Okay, so let's do a head count. So Snark has one radar, 1 barracks, 1 nuclear reactor, 1 naval yard. He's got a couple war factories, and Snark just calls GG. Snark